Thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview today. I know your time is really valuable.
Thank you, Julia.
Of course. So we're just going to start with some basic biographical information. So when and where were you born?
I was born in 1991 in Nepal. I don't have to mention the hospital. Okay. So yeah, I was born in Kathmandu in 1991.
Okay. And do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I have a younger brother. He's in Nepal right now. He's doing my father's business. So I'm the only one who's here.
Okay, what's your father's business?
He owns a Tibetan jewelry shop in Nepal. Yeah, and we even sell carpets, Tibetan carpets, and some antiques.
And were your parents born in Tibet?
Yeah, both of them, they were born in Tibet, and they came to India at a very young age. Yeah.
Do you know how old they were?
My mother was 2 years old. I remember her telling me that she was carried behind a back by someone, and my father, I think, like he came walking. He was quite, he was like 10 or 15 at that time, yeah.
So how they work at the jewelry store in Nepal. Does your mom work there as well?
No, my mom is a housewife right now, but before she was a Tibetan teacher before she got married. So she was a Buddhist, and then later she converted to Islam after meeting my dad. They dated for 7 years, and yeah, and so after 7 years they got married, and my mother was a Tibetan teacher. In fact, she used to teach the foreigners, and they used to go for trek and tour and all of that, yeah. And my father, right now, he owns a Tibetan jewelry shop, but then because he's in his 70s right now, so my younger brother, who is just 25, he's taking over the shop, and he's like helping my dad with all the business and stuff.
Okay. So your mom converted to Islam. Did she keep any Buddhist practices like meditation?
No, now she has, you know, like completely accepted the religion Islam, so she offers namaz, and she doesn't do anything that's related to Buddhism, because once you convert yourself to Islam, you have to accept that there is only one God, and that is Allah, so she does the Islamic practices.
What was that like, being raised Muslim in a majority Buddhist area? Was it hard?
I don't say it's hard, because when it comes to Tibetan culture and religion and tradition, there is only one thing difference between the Tibetan Muslims and the Tibetan Buddhists, and the difference is the religion. Besides that, everything is same: the culture, the tradition, the traditional attire, everything is same. So I don't think so that there is a lot of difference, and there is a lot of difficulty in being in the Tibetan Buddhist community. For example, in CTA, I am the only Tibetan Muslim woman, or a girl, lady, whatever. Yeah. So I don't see that I am so different from the other Buddhist people, because everything is same. I feel like we are all like the same. We came from the same thing, because there is only one thing that is different, is the religion. And yeah, and here the people, they are so, you know, like, because Islam is some people find Islam a very strict religion. So here, like, when I have to, you know, like when I can't go to some particular restaurants, or when I can't do certain things, like, people, they don't question much. In fact, they just accept what I practice, and they just go along, and that makes it so easier for me. Yeah.
And you went to a Christian school, right? What was that like?
It was good. So in the Christian school, there were a lot of, you know, like, varieties. Like, there were so many Muslims. Like, we were all there. So, like, yeah, it was good. I liked it, yeah. The only thing is that I couldn't study Tibetan, which is like a minus point for me, but then Christian school is a good, it was a good experience, yeah.
And that was in Nepal?
No, that was in Kalimpong. It's a small town in West Bengal, so yeah, I've studied there for 11 years.
Okay, so when did you move away from Nepal?
When in 1997, that was when I was in, I was sent to St. Joseph's Convent to do my studies. Yeah, so that was the time when I moved from Nepal.
Okay. Can you just describe your schooling experience? So what did you do after the Christian school?
After the Christian school, okay. So from UKG to 10, for 11 years, I've studied in St. Joseph's Convent. And after that, for +2, for 11 and 12, I went to Darjeeling, and there is another Christian school there, which is called the Mount Hermon School. So I've done my school, class 11 and 12 from there, and then I moved to Delhi, where I did my bachelor's from Delhi University, and I did my master's in mass communication from Jamia University.
Okay. And when did you come to Dharamsala?
Yeah, so after my master's in Jamia, I went to Nepal and I did an internship in a production house. So through that production house, I got to know about this administration. So that's how I got here. Yeah, there was this film grant. So I applied for that and my synopsis actually got selected. So when I came here, like they realized that, like they were going through the names and they found like my name very different because I don't have a Tibetan name, I have a Muslim name. So they were like, is she Tibetan? So that's how they contacted me. They said that you have a green book and all of that. And then they realized that, oh yeah, like this girl is a Tibetan Muslim. So His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he's very fond of Tibetan Muslims, and he always wanted a variety here in Central Tibetan administration. He wanted like Tibetan Muslims and the Tibetan Buddhists to be together and work together. So initially, long time ago, there were a lot of Tibetan Muslims here. Lot means like, around 4 or 5. But, and then all of them, they left. So right now there are none. So when the president, he came to know that a Tibetan Muslim actually applied for a film grant in CTA. So he wanted me to come and join here. And that's how I got here.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you know why the other Tibetan Muslims left?
They got old, they retired, yeah, but they've worked here for a pretty long time, like for years and years.
Mm-hmm. How did you learn to speak Tibetan?
Because I'm a Tibetan and my parents, they are Tibetan, so at home, even though, in school, we were always made to speak in English, but then at home, my parents, they made sure that we spoke in Tibetan. We didn't have time because like in a year, I used to go to my home just once a year, and that was only for a month, so we didn't have so much time to learn in Tibetan. My mother used to be busy, so that's how I didn't know how to read and write, but then my parents made sure that I get to speak the correct Tibetan language. Yeah.
Is it difficult working here but not being able to read or write Tibetan?
Not really, but except like when I have to fill holiday forms and all of that, I have to go to people and tell them that, can you please fill it for me? I'll have to be dependent on them for that reason. But then other than that, I don't think so, because most of my work is in English. I write scripts in English and I do anchoring, interviews and news anchoring, everything in English. So I don't think so that's a problem for me.
Okay, do you plan on trying to learn to read and write Tibetan?
Yeah, actually I did go to the library to learn Tibetan, and but then I've been in the library for just 1 month or 2 because I don't have the, sometimes my work clashes with my classes, and the classes are from 10 to 12. The classes are from 10 to 11. So in between, sometimes I get work, and because I'm in the media section, so you don't know when you're going to be called. So I stopped going in between, yeah.
Can you describe a little bit about your job? What's it like working for Tibet TV?
Tibet TV, I feel like not just for Tibet TV, but then everybody here, working here, they are not doing it for salary, because everybody knows that the salary here is not very high. So I feel like the reason that they're working here is because they really want to serve the Tibetan community. They really want to be involved in the Tibet issue. Mm-hmm. So, for example, my mom, when I got the appointment letter from CTA when I was in Nepal, I went and told my mom that I got a letter here, and then they want me to join and they want me to work in Dharamsala. And then my mom, she was so happy. She just told me, just do it. She did not even ask me what is the salary or whether they are going to give you staff quarters or anything. She said, just do it. After all, it's for the Tibet issue. So my mom, I'm breathing so much, I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. So my mom, initially when she was very young, her father was very rich, but then, still she went to a government school, and that government school was a Tibetan government school in Nepal. So she told me that even though my father is very rich, I was not sent to a private school, but I was sent to the Tibetan government school, and it was the Tibetan government that gave me education, even though, Tibet is occupied and it was colonized, and yet Tibet was able to give her education despite her father being so rich and all of that. So So she always, you know, like she always wanted to give something back, but she couldn't. And when I got this opportunity of working here, she just wanted me to do it. She told me, like, if I'm not able to do it, like, you do it on behalf of me. And yeah, so in that ways, like, she really wanted me to be here. And then, like, yeah, sometimes the work gets very loaded because, like, we have very few staffs in Tibet TV. So she tells me, like, no matter what, no matter how annoying some people get, you know, in work, it happens. So she tells me, like, just control and just like keep a picture of His Holiness in front of you and just look at him. And then you'll know that he has suffered so much and he is doing so much for his people even now. So why can't you, you know, like, why can't you tolerate all these? So, like, you know, I always do that. I have a picture of His Holiness. There is actually a portrait of His Holiness in our office. So I just look at him whenever things get annoyed or whenever I get a little pressurized. I just look at the picture. So in that way, you know, like, I get some encouragement or inspired. Yeah, so that ways I do it. Yeah, and you were asking about my work here. So I do English news. That's every Friday. And I do interviews, I make short documentaries, and I also make promotional videos.
Okay, can you talk a little bit about the news? What is that like?
Yeah, so mainly our news is about, it's a Tibet This Week. Tibet This Week means, like, we don't have a daily news, but whatever happens on a weekly basis, I deliver that in just 10 minutes, like, very short. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So mainly it's about our Sikyong, Dr. Singye, and it's about His Holiness, and it's about Sikyong's visit to the foreign places and to other places here, and it's about the entire CTA as well, and whatever happens in Tibet and all of that.
Okay, is that information given to you by the Tibetan government?
Yeah, the information is partly given by the CTA itself, and also, like, we get some information from inside Tibet. Yeah, we get from inside Tibet and also from, you know, like, from abroad, whatever is happening there.
Yeah, how do you get the news from inside Tibet?
That's a secret sauce,
okay,
so
yeah.
I don't know, sometimes, like, whenever we just get like that, so we make sure that it's a fact. Mm-hmm. And after knowing that it's real, then we upload it.
Yeah. What's the news like coming out of Tibet? Is it good, or, like, do you know how people are doing?
Yeah, mostly I don't think so it's good, because inside Tibet the situation is not very good for the Tibetans. Yeah, so it's mostly about, you know, the language restriction mm-hmm. and human rights violations and all of that. Yeah.
So you've talked a lot about the Dalai Lama and how you look to His Holiness for support. So he's both a political and a spiritual leader. How does that work with Islam? Do you have to kind of separate the two, or?
Sorry, can you repeat your question again?
Yeah, just how do you view the Dalai Lama? Do you think you view him differently than the Buddhists do because you're Muslim?
Yeah, so Tibetan Muslims, we don't look at him as a religious leader like the Tibetan Buddhists they do. Instead, we look at him as our king. Our king of Tibet. So in that ways we have a lot of respect, and on all the Tibetan Muslims, they have a lot of respect for His Holiness, because His Holiness, he doesn't differentiate us. In fact, personally I feel that he gives us a lot of priority. Yeah, so he always, you know, like, whenever he gives a speech about Tibetan Muslims, his words are all full of praises. So yeah, we look at him as a king, and all the Tibetan Muslims, there's not even one Tibetan Muslim who dislike him. All of us, we respect him, and all of us, we love him.
So your parents are still in Nepal. Do you get to visit them often?
So here in CTA, it's like we have only a month holiday. So the last time I went to Nepal was on November. Yeah, so this July also I'll be taking a leave. So this July I'll be taking only 20 days. Okay.
What's the trip like from here to Nepal?
You mean like how I commute from here to Nepal? Yeah, so from here I'll take a night bus to Delhi, and from Delhi I take a flight to Nepal, and I reach in just 1.5 hours. Okay. Yeah, but from here to Delhi, it's like you get to spend the entire night in the bus. So
what's that like?
No, that's okay, because the bus is good. The bus is Volvo. It's got AC and everything. And then, like, it's just one night, right? You just sleep, and then the next morning you're in Delhi, and then, like, you take a flight to Nepal. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do they ever get to come here?
Yeah, they've been here few months ago In fact, it was last year. Last year's Losar time they were here. So yeah, they stayed here for a month. Yeah, they stayed here for a month, and they really liked the weather. Actually, I have a very good staff quarter that was handed to me as soon as I got here. Sikyong, he gave me the keys, and then I was so excited because it has a very good balcony, and from the balcony you get to see Dharamsala, and then you get to see Nechungumba, and you know, like mountains and everything, and it's really nice.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
So the CTA provides your housing?
Yeah. Okay. CTA have very limited, not limited, but it's got a lot of staff quarters. So I got one because I'm a special appointee by the president, Dr. Lobsang Singye. So I got as soon as I got here. Otherwise, we'll have to stay in the waiting list. Okay.
With your special appointment, is there a specific term, like a number of years you're limited to?
Yeah, I actually had a contract for 2 years. So my contract is getting over on August 7th because that was when I joined 2 years back. But then now that I have extended it, it'll be for another year, and that's on August 7th, 2020, I think. Okay. Yeah.
Are you going to keep trying to work here, or do you think you'll look for other work later?
It'll be really nice if I work here, but then I heard, I'm not very sure about the rules here, but then I heard that I am here as long as Sikyong is here, and his term is still 2020 or 2021. Okay. Yeah, so when he leaves, then even I will have to leave. And because I'm a special appointee through him, that's why. Otherwise, like if I want to work here permanently, I will have to give an exam, an entrance exam that is going to be in Tibetan. So you know that I don't know how to, write in Tibetan so well. So I don't think so I'll be here for a very long time, but as long as I'm here, as long as I get to be here, I would want to work and give my best here. Yeah.
Whenever your 3 years is up and the president has to leave, do you think you'll stay in India or will you go to Nepal?
I don't know, because I have been away from my parents from a very young age. So I always wanted to work in Nepal. I always wanted to work in a place, actually the place doesn't matter so much to me. I always wanted to work in a place where I get to go home, Like it's always been like that. From small only I have been in a boarding school, and then like I've been to Delhi where I stayed in PG and where I stayed in my own apartment where I didn't have my mom at home after I got back. So now like after this job, I really want to be in a place where, like after I come back from work, like I get to eat my mom's homemade food, I get to, like watch television with my father. I want to be with them because now like they are also aging. So sometimes I feel homesick and sometimes, like I just want to be with them. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your relationship with them like since they're so far away?
I don't know, because like these days, like you get to talk we have this, the internet facilities, so we get to see each other on WhatsApp or WeChat. So I feel like we're always close, So every time I tell my dad, like, do you miss me? So he tells like, why to miss you? You're just there. So it's like, like sometimes we have dinner together on WhatsApp. It's like that. So every time I feel like we are always together, even though like, they are very far away from me. Yeah. So, yeah.
So your father's a little older. Do you know if he has any memories of living in Tibet before he came?
Yeah, if you interview him, he will tell you the entire history of Tibet because he is so, he knows a lot about Tibet, and till now he tells me his stories, his relatives who live in Tibet, and even like, like ghost stories that he experienced. I don't know whether it's true or not, but then like, I'm very fascinated with ghost stories, so I tell him like, tell me any stories that happened in Tibet, and so he used to tell me that in the toilet when he was there, like he heard someone like breathing behind him. So I don't know whether it's like to fascinate. I don't know if it is to fascinate me or, like he just like telling the truth. But then like, he have a lot of stories about whatever happened, like the true history and everything.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember any of those stories that you could tell us today?
No, not really, because he used to do that when I was a little girl. But nowadays when he does it to other people, and somehow, like I don't have it in my mind. But then I think I really should pay attention to whatever he says now.
Mm-hmm. Do you know where in Tibet he's from?
Yeah, he's from Lhasa. Yeah, in Lhasa there are a lot of Tibetan Muslims, and there still are. So he's from there.
Do you know where your mom was from in Tibet?
Yeah, even my mom was from Lhasa. Actually, my mom's father is Nepali. He's a Newar, and he went to Tibet for like business purpose, and then he met my grandmother, and then like when he and then he brought my grandmother to Nepal. Yeah, so so I'm a cocktail actually. My grandfather is a Nepali, my father is a Muslim, my mother was a Buddhist. Yeah, so I'm a mixture actually.
Yeah, what's that like?
That's good. It's interesting. You get to know more about culture and all of this, religion. I tell my mother like, don't you miss your religion and all of that? And she actually doesn't give me a proper answer about that. Yeah, she just tells me that before, like she was a Buddhist, but then like she was never really into all this religion and stuff. She was not very strict about it, so it was quite easy for her to convert to Islam.
You said that your mother's family left Tibet to go to Nepal, is that right? Did they do that because of the invasion?
I'm not very sure if it's because of the invasion, but then it's because my grandfather was a Nepali and he lived in Nepal, and that's how he brought my grandmother to Nepal. Yeah, so maybe it's because of that, but then I'm not really sure, because my grandmother also used to tell me that because the situation in Tibet, it was not very good at that time, so it was better to bring all the children and herself to Nepal to her husband. Yeah.
Do you know when they left Tibet?
I'm not really sure, but my mother told me that she was just 2 years old when she left, yeah.
And you said that your father still has family in Tibet, right?
Yeah, he had his cousins there.
Is he able to talk to them at all?
He talks to them, but then because of some visa problem, they are not able to come to Nepal, and my parents are not able to go to Lhasa. Initially, they used to go a lot. My father used to go to Tibet a lot. He used to even take my mother and go there. But these days, I don't know, they don't go because like, they have a lot of problem with the visa.
Yeah. Do you know when they used to go back and forth, like what year?
Yeah, I remember I was in class 4. So maybe it was, 1999, 2000. Maybe during those times, because I was in a boarding school and my mother, she used to come from Lhasa and she used to get me lots of, like a really nice geometry box and a lot of eatables and all of that, yeah.
So were you able to visit Tibet ever with them?
No, unfortunately no, because like I said, I was in a boarding school, so I didn't get the chance.
Would you like to visit Tibet at some point?
Of course, yeah, I really want to. I think everybody wants to, all the Tibetan people, yeah.
So, do you know your father has the family in Tibet, but he's in Nepal. Does he ever plan on going back permanently, or will he just stay in Nepal?
I think he will just stay in Nepal because he's been in Nepal for a very long time, and now that he's got a home in Nepal, he's got the entire business in Nepal, and he's already made friends and everybody. And it's not only him who's in Nepal. There are lots of like Tibetan people who came from Tibet to Nepal. So all of them, they have made their home and everything in Nepal. So I don't think so. Like even if they get a chance, maybe they'll visit, or maybe they'll even go back. But then right now, like they are just there. Yeah.
So His Holiness recently announced kind of a retirement from political life, and the media covered this a little bit, but how did the Tibetans react to that? Did you cover that at all with Tibet TV?
When His Holiness retired, I was not working here actually. I just got here like 2 years ago, and that Sekyong had already taken over the political issue. Yeah, so I don't know much about this. Okay. Yeah.
So some people think that it would be more beneficial if Tibetans were very political. Do you agree with that?
If Tibetans would be more political. Actually, I don't know so much about politics. I don't know how it works, so I don't know how to respond to that actually. I'm really sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah. So Buddhism is a nonviolent religion, and Islam is as well, but have you encountered any cultural differences between the two? There's some, I don't know about here, but in America there's stigmas that Islam might have violence because of what happens in the Middle East. Do people think that here as well?
You mean in the Tibetan Muslim community?
Yeah, is there any prejudice?
I don't think so, because as far as I have noticed, that here in the Tibetan community, the Tibetan Muslims and the Tibetan Buddhists, they have always been in a very good term since the 7th century. Yeah, so I haven't heard of any, differences between them, conflicts or anything. I haven't heard so far.
That's good. So with the 14th Dalai Lama, do you believe that he'll ever be able to return to Tibet?
Yeah, everybody actually have a very strong faith that he will, in this very life, that he will be able to return to Tibet and then spend his rest of his life there. Yeah, everybody have this belief, and by coming here and seeing the resiliency of the Tibetan people here still working, and Si Kyung going abroad and repeating the Tibet issue over and over again in all his speeches, I think that Tibet will gain autonomy one day.
Mm-hmm. And you think that day will be soon?
Sorry?
Do you think that day will be soon?
I don't think it will be very soon, but then it will happen. That much faith I have, yeah.
What are your hopes for Tibet?
My hopes for Tibet. You mean like
freedom or autonomy or?
Yeah, so like I said, by observing the resiliency of everybody, the political leaders and even the staffs here, everybody working so hard and always taking part in any kinds of Tibet issue, I think, and I don't think, in fact, I have this faith that Tibet will one day, gain its freedom, and even if, we won't gain independence completely, at least, we'll get to go there and practice our own language and everything, right now, whatever is happening, all these language restrictions and everything, all this will be eliminated very soon, and then, Tibet will, get what it wants. Yeah.
When that happens, will you and your family go there?
Of course we will go there, even if we may not be able to stay there, but then we will pay a lot of visits there and will stay there for a very long time. After all, that is our country.
Do you feel at home here in India?
In India means here in particular, you mean? Okay, so here, the first time when I got here, I thought that it's going to be a very small town, and there are not going to be many places, there are not going to be any malls where I can go and shop and all of that. And then after I got here, I saw a lot of Tibetans, wearing chubas and their traditional dresses and walking back and forth. And I was so happy because you don't get to see that a lot, in Nepal also, even in Bauda, the Tibetan people, they don't wear their traditional attires quite often, but here, the working ladies, they wear every day. So it was like a little Tibet here for me. So when I came here, I saw that and I was I just called my mother and I was I'm going to stay here. Yeah, on the first day itself, it's just been an hour that I've been here. Then I saw all that, and then I was I'm going to stay here anyhow, So that was the time when I just decided that I'll be here and I'm going to work here.
So do you enjoy Dharamsala more than Delhi?
Enjoy. I like my work here actually, but then you cannot compare Dharamsala to Delhi because Delhi is a city and Dharamsala is it's a small hill station. I must say, I don't know. So yeah, so Dharamsala is beautiful in its own ways. Wherever you go, it's very clean and the weather is very good. So I enjoy in whatever Dharamsala has to provide.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us today. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to?
No, I think we've covered up everything, right? I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you again so much for your time.
Thank you so much for your time.